This is the Business Storytelling Show, a top global marketing podcast listened to in more than 100 countries, live streamed on social media, and Christoph Trapp chats with industry leaders to help your company tell better business stories. Here's today's episode.
Hey, business storytellers. The one and only podcast lawyer is returning to the episode. He was on the show, I don't know how long ago. It's been a while. He also has a book out that you can grab right here on Amazon. And we are actually live on Amazon once again, the legal podcast blog and new media producers legal survival guide. So check that out. Also, since we are on Amazon, you can actually, everything you see around me, you can buy sound panels, even that shelf back there, not the Hawkeye helmet. And then also, not to make this a fashion show, but this quarter zip pullover, that's what I'm currently wearing. So you can get that on Amazon as well. I think they look really nice on these shows. But why don't we focus on the topic at hand, which is how has the FTC's latest rulings, the latest guidance, whatever it's called, the podcast lawyer can tell us the correct language. How is that going to affect us as business owners, as marketers, anybody that needs to know? So let's find out what Gordon has to say about it. What's the updates that we have to think about? And let's go from there. Welcome to episode 704, Gordon.
Hello, Christoph. How are you? It's great to be with you again.
I'm fantastic. I still remember when you came on the show. It's been a while, and I said, I just make statements, right? I'm like, oh, blah blah blah, whatever, like this and this and this and this. And of course, you're a lawyer, and you go, well, that's not exactly how I would do that from the legal perspective. So I actually always appreciate people coming on the show and being collaborative, like you are.
Telling you you're wrong, you mean? Or
it's okay to be wrong, right? But it's how do we move forward? How do we learn? So first of all, before we get started here, just really quickly, we have your webinar series down below there, webinar.easylegalbrands.com. It's ongoing, so people can check that out. You can tell us about that as we move along. Yeah. But tell us, the FTC, what is going on now and why do we care?
So first off, a little background. The FTC is a federal government agency. It goes back to, it was originally formed in 1914 under Woodrow Wilson, I believe it is. And the mission of the agency is to protect consumers against deception and fraud and the kinds of things that we fall victim to from time to time. And so the rule has been for a very, very long time for marketers and brands and all that basically it's false advertising rules. It is unlawful to falsely advertise the qualities or the things about products. It is unlawful to use deception in marketing and selling your products and services. Now, these new rules that came into effect in October of this year, are designed to narrow that down and clarify and I guess be more specific about certain kinds of practices and essentially declare that these are the kinds of things we don't like. The first off of those, and this is a big one for marketers of all kinds, folks that are selling their products or as affiliates selling other people's products or making endorsements and all of those kinds of things, is a ban on the use of fake reviews and testimonials. So what that means is that since October of this year, it is against the law to create, purchase, or disseminate fake consumer reviews or testimonials. So that means no using AI to generate reviews or testimonials, no using bots to populate the comments and the rankings and ratings on an Amazon store or Shopify or those kinds of things. It is also against the law to incentivize specific reviews. That is, it's okay to give somebody a product or to receive the product. It's okay to actually even have compensation for making a review. What's not okay is for making a review that expresses a specific sentiment or point of view. That being, we'll pay you for a positive review, but not for a negative review. That would be an illegal thing. So, And
if I can just ask really quickly,
yeah,
I mean, certainly when brands reach out, they don't want to pay me to do a negative review. And
right.
what's interesting to me, of course, as you may have already gathered, like I'm pretty to the
Hmm.
point, right? And if I have
Yeah.
opinions, I'll give you my opinions. And every once in a while, I have a brand reach out, and I make it very clear that any payment is
Hmm.
for my time because it
Right.
takes time to do whatever I'm doing. So my example that comes to mind, Gordon, is there was somebody who sent me their book, and I charged them my regular rate.
Hmm.
Like the topic was okay. I may have read it without it, even like without them sending me it if I would have run across it. But the book sucked. It was written by AI,
Yeah.
and I can prove it. Everything was,
Hmm.
how like bulleted lists and whatever, like
Yeah.
only bulleted lists, the use of Delph, anybody that uses the word Delph, that's an
Hmm.
AI word. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
believe it. And so I said to them, I mean, first of all, the fee is non-refundable anyways. It's for my time,
Yeah.
not for the review.
Right. Right.
But I said, I can do a review, but it's not going to be positive because I think this is garbage. It's AI
Yeah.
and whatever. So I'm going to go do it. But how many people would actually do that? How many people would actually go back and say that? Or how many people would just write something? I mean, there's something positive. Like you could have written all the, well, I don't do written reviews. I do video reviews,
Yeah.
right? Through Amazon influencer
Sure.
program.
Sure.
But I could have found something positive, but the one positive nobody cares about because everything else is garbage.
Yeah.
So how
It's
do
terrible, but the cover design is fabulous.
but
Right.
who I know, right? But who cares that that's the thing? So how do influencers, how do podcasters, how do we manage that? Because I mean the allure of getting some revenue coming in is there.
I think that the way you handle it is the right approach. Is it's to say I'm you're paying or you're providing whatever the compensation is for an honest review, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. I'm going to give an honest review, and frankly, as the influencer, that's your integrity on the stake at stake anyway, right? That's what's on the table. Is if you make a positive review of something that's crap, and your audience figures out that you can basically just be bought and sold, then your reputation and your value as a reviewer goes down. So really, I think there's no downside to following this rule. Give an honest review, treat it as compensation for your time to do the review, not the content of the review. Um, Interestingly, a couple of the things that have gone on in the past that this rule is, I think, intended to address is there have been folks that would, go on Fiverr or these other uh, low fee sites, to get people to do something, to get people to file negative reviews against their competitors' products and services. So that's also illegal, um, because you're essentially paying for the negative review. And then the third component is sort of what you said, is when you go back to the brand and say, here's the review I would give if you still want me to. Now you're being paid to not review the thing, essentially to withhold your review. I'm not sure how that will play out if it becomes apparent that folks are doing that. I think it's a tool for extortion, frankly, to say, well, first pay me to do a review, and then, I really didn't like your product, so if you
Oh
don't
my
want me to
goodness.
publish
Yeah.
it, give me
Yeah.
some
Oh,
money.
well, that's not how I handle it in those
No, of
examples.
course not.
I said it's for my time, and then I looked at it and whatever. It's more like a consulting thing. But what's
Right.
interesting about that comment to me, how I should change my wording when like those things are actually very hit and miss, anyways. But
Yeah.
what I should do is instead of saying what I just said earlier, which
Mhm.
seemed to be fine, I will say, here's the fee for my time. I will do an honest review based
Yeah.
on how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how I should change it, and then they have to kind of roll the dice. The other thing that's interesting to me, I do reviews on Amazon. They're
Yeah.
like on my storefront. They are obviously reviews, but there's a lot of affiliate links that I have in articles.
Hmm.
I don't even give an opinion, Gordon. I
Yeah.
literally just like here's 10 types of keyboards that you could use
Yeah.
that look a certain way, but I don't say this is better than this. So
Yeah.
I link to them, but I don't even review them. So anyway,
Yeah,
what
that's
else
an
on that
integral
one?
part of the creator economy. That's been around for a long time. The thing to do when you're doing affiliate links, of course, is you have to disclose that they are in
Right.
fact affiliate links, and that disclosure has to be clear and conspicuous and adjacent to the link itself or the statement that you're making, and in the same medium. So it's not okay to just put it in the text notes if you're doing a video, for example. It needs to be on screen. It needs to be out loud. Those kinds of things. And that's an old rule that's been around for maybe a decade or more, I'm sure. Um,
Okay, so quick question. Hold on. I got so many questions. I know you have so much stuff, but I have so many
Sure.
questions for you. Okay, so what I do typically is, so first of all, when we live stream, right, we go, all these networks now have
Mhm.
includes paid promotion anyways,
Yeah.
right? So it shows it there. But then the other thing I do, and this is not a paid show, I invited you completely organically, but
Yeah.
when it's a sponsored guest, I
Mhm.
just throw this up. See that at the bottom right
Mhm.
there, it includes paid promotion, and then
Yeah.
in the show notes it's, I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, right? Just
Yeah.
include that for a little bit and good to go.
Yeah, that or just just the statement, "Hey, I'm gonna earn from your purchase when you
Yeah,
use my link," or something like that.
yeah,
You don't have to be more specific than that, or you can just say, "Hey, and we thank you for using our link because we receive a small commission on the sale,"
yeah, awesome.
something like that.
uh,
So another component of this ban on fake reviews and testimonials is a ban on insider. I shouldn't say a ban. It's a requirement of full disclosure and transparency for insider reviews. And what they mean by that is when somebody from the brand or the company or someone with that affiliation is receiving, I'm sorry, is making the review, it needs to be disclosed. And I would say that goes as far as if they're paying you to do the review, you should tell the audience that you've been paid for the review, or they've been kind enough to send you the product for free, or those kinds of disclosures, just so that your audience really understands the full scope of the relationship and the nature of things.
and I know we're not talking about what the creators should accept and not accept, but I want to remind everyone,
Hmm.
when brands are kind enough to send you the product, be very, very careful, because some products just suck, especially if you know nothing about them. So them sending you a free shitty um, product, it's not anything, right? I mean, it's going to look like it, but it's not. So how? Let's keep going down and talk about that one a
Yeah.
little bit more. What
Well,
people should think about.
yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, look, if you're an insider with the company, the audience needs to know, hey, I'm the vice president of sales for this company and I'm the one who wrote this review. That's going to land differently um, with a less informed consumer than someone that they just follow on YouTube because they value their opinion, or they follow on Amazon or whatever. It has to be, yeah, it's just about transparency. And frankly, as a consumer, I would want to know. So that's the test, really. That's the way to evaluate this, is just ask, hey, if I was buying and I saw this review, would I want to know where it came from, or that it came from someone inside the company, or what have you? And I think that's a problem with a lot of the especially low cost products that come from overseas, and then the marketers, the sellers of those products are just, they'll put in 40 or 50 different reviews into the Amazon listing, so they've got all of the 4.5 stars or 5 stars, and the negative reviews from the real consumers get drowned out. And that's the thing that they're really trying to protect against, is you've got to say, I'm an executive at this company, or I work for them, or whatever. So again, use your common sense. And I think most of the um, legit marketers out there are doing this already. So it's not a big change in our way of operating. Um,
If I just want to mention that quickly.
yeah,
So I think I agree with you that, and I don't think I know. I mean, I do agree with that. Is that the best companies, they already do that, and they've done it for years. I mean, I
yeah,
worked with Adobe in 2017, and everything you just said, they literally had in their contract with me, right? They were like,
yeah,
"This is how you have to do it. This is what you have to disclose. This is blah blah blah. What's on your own." And same like Switcher Studio, which I don't really use anymore today, but
yeah.
same with them. When I did some projects with them, they were like, "This is how you have to disclose it." End of story. Not
Right.
debatable. And it's
Hmm.
like, why is there so many companies that don't do it? Why do we
Well,
need?
and
Yeah.
and I think it's okay for the influencers to put it into their contracts as well, just as a default position. Here's how we do things. We will tell the audience that we've been compensated or received the product for free. We will publish the review whether we like the product or not. Or we could say, you could just come out and say, listen, I'm happy to review your product, and if I don't like it, I don't have to publish it. It's my choice whether to publish because after all, you don't want to promote, even with a negative review, a product that you don't believe in. So I think it's reasonable to just make this part of the conditions of the deal. So, um, so that's the
It
first. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's just very interesting to me. I think people can easily forget about they can put it in their own contract too, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
can be. I mean, I think there's some big companies. If I were to send a contract to Adobe, they would be like, "No, we have a contract." I mean, I haven't worked with them in a few
Yeah.
years, but they might say that. But if you work with like a startup or whatever, like I mean, I set the rules all the time. I say
Mhm.
these are my rules, and like if you don't like them, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't even know you. But I know we're moving along really quickly. So much material we already covered. So we've covered the first item. We
Yep.
covered the second item completely, or not yet?
Well, no, all three of those was actually just item number one. So let
So
me
much
come on
stuff.
to
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, go.
So the second new rule is about the use of fake social media indicators. So the rule prohibits the sale or purchase of fake indicators like followers, or views generated by bots and hijacked accounts and things like that. And you're misrepresenting a brand's popularity when you've got, like I was saying with the reviews, all those 5-star reviews. That's a fake indicator, and so that's also prohibited and subject to the penalties that we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. The third component is, it's actually not so much related exactly to how we market, but certainly how we operate as marketers. It's the click to cancel rules. This one might have gotten some attention in the media, more attention in the media when it came in October. The rule is now businesses have to provide a simple, straightforward online mechanism for consumers to cancel their subscriptions, making the process as easy as it was to sign up or to purchase something. So it can no longer be well, you bought the thing online, but you have to call and sit on hold for 45 minutes, and then we're going to try to talk you into staying, or we're going to try to downgrade or upgrade. And we've all been there with our cell phone providers or our internet company or someone who has, it's very easy to become a customer and very hard to become an ex-customer. That's supposed to change. So where this affects marketers, of course, is if you have an email subscription list, if you do mass emails and things like that, the unsubscribe button has to be, one step. Unsubscribe, maybe a verify, are you sure? Yes, done. And if you sell products and services, sort of the same kind of a thing. That's not necessarily to give refund, but if they want to cancel the subscription, they have to be able to do that. Now, I will say that this provision has come under some fire from companies like Disney and Netflix and Amazon. They've sued the government to prohibit or prevent this rule from taking effect, arguing that it blocks the authority of the agency, the FTC, and it could harm businesses that are relying on subscription revenues. If that's not an argument for keeping the rule, I don't know what is. Oh, it's going to hurt us if we have to make it easy to quit. Yeah, exactly. But it hurts the consumers if you don't. So the FTC is there about protecting consumers.
It's gonna hurt us if you make it easy not to. Oh my God, people! Like, no doubt,
Yeah.
that's crazy. What's interesting to me too is it's so easy. It is so easy to sign up for some services, and some services even struggle with that. And then they make you jump through so many hoops. It's just like that is one of the best rules maybe the FTC has ever come up with. That it has to be easy, and it should be easy. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's common sense to me. But
One small concern about this rule is that it casts a pretty wide net. It doesn't say it only applies if you have the sign up through an online. It means you have to provide the online tool for unsubscribing. I think even if your sign up is by filling out a form on a piece of paper and handing it in, you're at a festival or an event and people join or ask to receive more information. If you've got a hard copy mailing list, do you have to be able to unsubscribe from that using an online tool? There's a few sort of ambiguities there that I think could come back and bite some of us in the butt if we're not careful. So it's something to keep an eye on. And bottom line, be a good business person, be a good citizen, and make it reasonably easy for people to unsubscribe in the first place. You should be okay.
I think the other thing too is when companies make things easy, I'm more prone, to stick with them, right? I mean, I do it on Netflix all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If something isn't, or actually maybe YouTube TV might be a better example, I sign up for 4K. When I want to watch something in 4K,
Mm-hmm.
I downgrade when there's nothing on, but I'm not leaving, right? I keep coming back.
And you can see how that provides administrative hassle and costs and technological hurdles for these companies to make it that easy. But in the long run, I think it really will serve everybody very well. So
as the marketer and technologist in me, I mean, it's not difficult, right? Should be automated if they do it correctly. But anyway,
if
so
you
we
have
got number
tens of
one.
thousands of people subscribing and unsubscribing every couple of weeks, it's going to be a chore for someone at some point. But I agree. It's not that hard.
So you have 1 and 2. We covered those. Was there?
No, we covered all three now. The ban on fake reviews and testimonials, the misuse of social media indicators, and the click to cancel rules are the three big components of the new FTC rules. And we should talk about what's at stake if you don't do this. There are penalties. The FTC has the power to sue, they can do a bunch of things, but the big one here is the fines can be up to the neighborhood of $52,000 for each instance of a violation. And that's going to hit the brand that's underlying this. But if you are the influencer and you are the one who, let's be charitable and call it a mistake, you make a mistake and it doesn't work out right, and the false statements are out there, or the deceptive whatever, the brand's not going to look too kindly on getting fined. So it's going to be, again, bad for your reputation as a business or as an influencer. So really just be really, really cautious and careful about this so you don't expose these brands to this kind of liability. One example that this has already been implemented, the FTC took action against Lyft, the rideshare company. It was a $2.1 million fine because they advertised, they misled recipients of ads about driver earnings. They were talking to, trying to get more people to drive Uber or more people to use Uber because the drivers are better paid. And it turns out to be misleading. So they went after him and got a $2.1 million fine from Lyft. So what does this mean for us as businesses, us as influencers? Well, I think first off, we need to review and look at and adjust our current advertising and marketing and subscription practices to make sure we're complying with these rules. Ensuring the authenticity of the reviews, transparency about endorsements and testimonials, and that click to cancel, make it as straightforward and simple as possible. And then we need to monitor and make sure that the folks that are doing this stuff with or for us, our independent contractors, our employees, of course, we need to train them so that they understand these rules as well. I say not just the employees, but also the independent contractors really need to know. And if you are the influencer, educate yourself and be ready to do this stuff and understand and know where the boundaries are, so it becomes second nature and we don't have to think too much about this.
It's crazy to me too. I mean, I used to be on the bandwagon of you have to pay influencers. You have to just stop the madness. You're trying to save a couple $100, to turn the cost of production over to them. And now what you just said, it's like, so if you screw this up, it's like $52,000 for a fine.
Right.
It's like a couple $100. Who cares? Like work with somebody that actually it makes sense. And I mean, I know there's some influencers where it's in the thousands, but I would say most influencers probably, let's say, in the hundreds. Gordon, it was so great. So much good information once again from you. Really appreciate you looking into the topic, sharing everything we need to know. such a short time and letting me tell all of my stories that got us off track for 2 seconds.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Do you mind if I just tell people a little bit? We've been scrolling the link for my webinar, my masterclass. It is called Fundamental Business Legal Protections, Business and Legal Protections for your online course or coaching business. This is for anybody who runs an online course or a coaching business or a membership, those kinds. If you're a digital entrepreneur, you really ought to know some of these legal fundamentals. So we'll be doing this on Thursday, the 12th of December. And then around every month, we repeat the thing. We don't do replays because I find that people don't actually watch them. And even when they do want the replay, it's just diminishing returns. So that's coming up in about 10 days from now, and would love to have folks come. So that's at webinar.ezlegalbrands. That's the letters ezlegalbrands.com. And of course, there's my book on screen as well. You can get the book if you're into the podcast or media creation side of things. And you can find out more about me. Just head on over to gordonfiremark.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gordon. And we're out.
Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the Business Storytelling Show on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so you don't miss the